Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Educational Technology Club, a podcast dedicated to the dissemination and reflection of educational technology and digital pedagogy. My name is Christian Angel, and I have a PhD Educative Technology and SNE Research Professor, Virtual World Education and Virtual Reality, VR and Augmented Reality, ICT, and design. Well, today, Dr. Paul Rudman is a writer, virtual world researcher, and electronics designer who is part of this educational technology club. We'll be discussing the following topics. The topics are 3D IDEs, that is three-dimensional digital immersive digital environment, and VR, augmented reality, virtual worlds, and their impact on the education in times of pandemic, digital competence and its relationship with the 3D IDs, and anecdotes of the 3D IDs in time of pandemic. Hi and hello, Paul. How are you?
Hello, Christian. I'm good, thanks. I'm sitting in Leicester in England, and you're in Mexico. So we have a bit distance, but we have the same problems.
Yes, in this new pandemic situation that, well, is a new situation from this new age. But well, with this new technology, we can be near because the distance is not important in these places. Well, thank you, Paul. Paul is from England. From which part of England you are, Paul?
So Leicester is about an hour's drive north of London, and it's an old and historic city. Well, a lot of England is old and historic, really. But I used to work at the University of Leicester doing research on virtual worlds. So we created a virtual genetics lab in what was then the latest, which was Second Life. And we had students try out various learning tasks within this virtual environment quite successfully. We learned a lot about Second Life and a lot about the concept of being in a virtual environment, which those lessons apply now in Sansar and in other virtual spaces, just as much as they did then.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, let me explain to the audience that we make a paper about the concept of 3D ideas, of how we can use the 3D ideas for a perspective of educational. And well, he helped to me for my PhD when I was studying the PhD. And well, we are making a book, and well, this club is for explain our experiences about these environments. That is, well, we like it very much. I don't know if you want to say another thing, Paul.
Yeah, the paper's out there, the book's coming out soon. You don't even have to buy it.
Yeah, all free because the knowledge about this information is to share the new knowledge about this technology. Well, Paul, we can begin with the topics, the general inquiries. I can make the dynamic is make the new question. Uh, and well, we can make the question is what is the impact of digital three-dimensional dimension immersive digital environment, 3D IDS, in education in times of pandemic? What do you think about this 3D IDS in this new age of pandemic, Paul?
You know, I think to a large extent, a big opportunity has been missed because 3D IDEs, even the simple ones like Second Life or um, the virtual screen-based worlds, and certainly something like Sansar or Sansar with a virtual reality headset, they can do so much to create the same environments for learning that pre-pandemic. In fact, better environments than are usually available pre-pandemic. But it's not, you can't just go from traditional teaching in a classroom to, oh, everyone's at home, well, we'll use virtual worlds. It requires planning, and like any other teaching organisation, it doesn't just turn up in the classroom and talk. So, really, by the time people like Rudman and understanding what freedom IDEs offer for education, those who didn't already know, probably would condemn over.
You think you think that right now this like a new moment for these new environments
It
because
should be,
yeah,
and it could be, but I'm not sure that it is or will be. You
why?
see, because it's not obvious. So I've watched a lot of people their first time in Second Life with them 3D IDE, and I think it's really the same in something like Sansar in virtual reality. It's a little bit like if you watch through the window somebody watching TV. You've never had a TV, you don't know what it is. You look through the window and you're watching it. All you see is somebody sitting there motionless, staring at flickering pictures, and you go, well, what's the point of that? And it's a little bit like that in virtual worlds. People, often their first experience is watching somebody else use it, or seeing it on TV, or even using it themselves, but not in any engaging way, just going in there. It doesn't seem like anything. There has to be this moment. It's really an emotional moment where it suddenly makes sense, and people go, oh yeah, I felt as though I hadn't experienced it. That's really useful. And until people have had that experience, often they don't really see virtual spaces as anything but a strange sort of game. And I think that's one of the things that levers that hold educators back. Because those that haven't really used virtual spaces, they don't, there's no reason why they would understand how realistic and engaging the space can be. So it's a bit tricky enough. They don't have the experience, necessarily see the point and they don't see the point. That's one of the reasons why virtual spaces have simply taken off, despite their potential use.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, I when I was here in Mexico, the situation of the pandemic begins. I look in Second Life, a teacher. I don't know if it was a teacher, but the idea is that the persons are not with another person because about this coronavirus, but the idea of being like a body in this environment, in this virtual environment, and have like a hug with another person when we are alone with any persons in our houses. Uh, I said, wow, these new environments help with this situation of about loneliness with the persons about thinking that we are like in the real life, like in presence, and maybe this situation using for the education can be help to the teachers to be not only face to face, looking our faces in a Zoom video conference or something like that. That maybe it's so difficult to be looking at another person and something like that. I don't know. How do you think about that, Paul?
Well, people in the virtual space, they are usually represented by an avatar, and people seem to get used to that remarkably quickly. They really do think of their avatar as themselves. It's a little bit like a car in a way. When people are driving a car, they sort of feel the car as them, in a strange sort of way. They're controlling it, and it just feels like an extension of their own body. And the avatar, I think, fits in the same sort of idea. So, so I could imagine that, yes, if you meet a friend as an avatar and give them a hug, there is the sense of having had a hug with a friend. Perhaps not at the time, but afterwards, when you look back on it, there is the sense of having done that.
Maybe the situation of being in these environments, the immersion, if the persons get a full immersion, maybe the feeling of of having a hug with another person in these environments could be usefulness, yes, for the other person because they feel it. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
I don't know. If you had the way that you would describe in the paper, this concept of full deep, a total immersion where one is completely engrossed in being somewhere other than where one really is, as opposed to having this sort of sense of secondness to it. I'm not sure how it would work quite so well because you wouldn't have the tactile part of it. It would break the sense of being there. Whereas when you are in using a screen-based virtual world through the IDE or whatever, you kind of know that you're not going to feel your hands around the person. So it doesn't kind of feel odd. What do you reckon?
maybe. Well, right now maybe the technology cannot be like Matrix that say it's real or it's not real. But depends maybe depends from the persons that are using these environments because when the persons feel it, the sensation when they feel it that are in the environment is like similar when we read a book and we make this immersion of the book and we feel that we are in uh, with a thinking that we're thinking about we are reading about the book. But when these environments is not only reading, is making things and make or have a hug is different to read a book, and this immersion is different, and maybe the brain says yes, you are not here, but the sensation of being immersive and said, oh yeah, maybe you're not here, but I am here. I don't know. It's complex to explain that. Maybe this is like it's part of our research of making this sensation of how the immersion could help us to be here in a new virtual reality. I don't know. I don't know. It's like a
I think it's going to be very different depending on whether there is an avatar in front of the, the camera of the person or not. So far, most 3D IDEs, there's been an avatar that you follow around, as it were. And even in Second Life, where you can see first-person view, not many people seem to want to use it. There's something about the avatar that makes it easier because you're not really there. So you're not getting some of the effect, you're not getting the tactile effect, you're not getting the sense of full immersion. Having the avatar somehow makes it easier to understand because the avatar is a different world to you, so it's therefore kind of clearer and where your representation is. If you dispose of the avatar, then it's you, and there's more opportunity for complete immersion, but then you can be pulled out of it when it doesn't quite work, like hugging someone, actually there's no one there to put your arms around.
Maybe. And well, you said about the use of the app, but it's easy to use avatars. It's easy to be in these environments. It would be needed like consider digital skills to be important in the use of the 3D ideas. How do you think about that, Paul?
Well, I think there's two parts to using any sort of technology. There's the getting it to work and starting it up and getting it set, adjusting all the things that need adjusting. Like we did before this discussion, I was like, I can't hear you, I need to move the camera nearer. How do I move the camera? So there is quite a lot of digital competence in terms of getting it going. But one of the things, almost the point of the virtual spaces is once you're there. So in some senses, there is zero digital competence required once you start. Everything is too hard, really.
Well, when with my experience about these skills, these digital skills, when I passed from Second Life to Sansar, making Second Life Sansar or another virtual environment or VR environment, they have something elements that we can use it, and maybe if it's the persons who make these environments that use something like a line of design that when we change about the environments of if we are new in these environments make be easy to use it. Maybe the VR, maybe the VR in the future, it will be more easy to be use these environments, and the skills, digital skills, will be yes important, but the idea is to be natural for using these environments. It's not like using the traditional ICT that we have to know many commands, many things to change from different platforms. I I feel that these 3D ideas will be different for the uses and the digital skills because they have to be natural of making that.
Yes, I think you see regularly in other parts of life, digital competence isn't just about being able to use technology. It also includes being able to understand how to use the technology to a higher level. So if one is wanting some information, there's the digital competence of being able to load up Google or some other search engine and type in a word that you want to look for. But there's also the higher level competence of understanding what those results mean, of knowing that simply reading the first one isn't necessarily going to tell you what you ought to know. You might think it has, but because depending on who's written it, it might be highly biased or it might be wrong. So I always say digital competence can also refer to. So in terms of 3D IDEs, to some extent they are attempting to be a replication of real life. So one probably needs life competence.
You take a good point about the digital skills. I remember something like another researcher said about when we make education, when we are teaching, excuse me, say this person said we must differentiate between the role of the teacher and the role of the student. The students are very skilled using technology. Okay, I think that you say if I am very good of using these environments or using ICT or something like that, well, they are skilled using this technology, but they are not competent. And competence is what allows us to apply technology to achieve a result, in this case, to build knowledge. And this is why when we listen about all the digital skills and it's only for how to doing the things, it's not only that. And I like the thing that you said. Maybe in the real life, we can look that a problem we can resolve from different ways, and this not depend about the skills of using the technology or the digital skills. Maybe it could be the competence about how the persons look the problem, the competence of how to reflection about the problem, and many things that, and then build about that, build the knowledge to then to explain another persons how to make that. Uh, yeah, this is why many persons say that uh, they need many skills for digital skills for using these environments. And I said, well, maybe not, maybe not. Maybe you are persons that are so good with these environments, but if we like and the environment is so near to the real, or in the future will be so real, so near to the real, we can change our minds about using these environments and understand different ways the digital skills and the competence of how we can do something. I don't know if you think about that, Paul.
Yeah, it's hold on a second, my screen went blank. Technology. Yeah, if you see 3D IDEs, they offer so much that it's not really obvious how to use them. And particularly in the area of education, you see, we are used to having education take place in schools or universities where there is a limited budget, so you have to have lots of people together in one room, and one teacher, because one teacher per person would be uneconomic. And it has to take place, education, in the school, because apart from the occasional field trip, it's very expensive to bus children or students out to a museum 100 miles away, because that's not a useful thing. It's, it has to be done in the classroom. Through the IDEs, so many limitations disappear, and it's not immediately obvious how to it really requires the different concepts of what teaching and learning is in order to benefit. I'm a big fan of cognitive learning and generally giving learners the ability to find guiding, certainly providing the right resources, yes. But the idea of having every lesson very carefully choreographed with different learning goals I'm not such a big fan of. I can see it's very useful in a university situation, but when you have freedom through the IDE, it can be much more, learning can be much better tailored to each individual student by allowing them more freedom with guidance that can be provided by the space that we're in. Experiences that can be generated. It's difficult to create a good learning environment through the IDE just because there are so many options. But sooner or later, I think there will be best practices found, and it will be, the spaces will be used much more.
Yeah, you have a good point, Paul. We can change the dynamic. We are going to the personal questions about the situation that we are living right now of the pandemic with the coronavirus. Uh, I will begin with the first question. That is, do the contingency? Excuse me with my pronunciation. Do the contingency, the perception of many things has changed. For example, time, the speed of life, introspection, and even the way in which and how we consume anything from food to entertainment. How has this new being at home changed your perception of everyday life, Paul?
Um, I think it's a little bit like being off sick, but not very sick. It's kind of like, you know, the only thing to do is to kind of look after myself and wait for it to be over somehow. I think it's been a bit like that. Yeah, it's just very strange. Not really sure how. I think probably maybe one needs to look back on it in order to see what happened.
I I feel in this moment the change of the time for me was all so difficult when we can don't go out of our houses, um, and I don't know if well I feel alone in this when we are in this moment with the pandemic. But the 3D ideas and the VR and these environments help me to me very much to being thinking that I am not alone, that I am near with another person, like right now. I am near to a person that is in England. Well, near. Well, here I am near in the environment, but we are so far away about distance. But I like that. How I find friends from like you from England and from other countries, and maybe the situation about the time, the space was changing for me. And this environment helped me to pass away about this situation that for other persons was so difficult. Yes, I know that these environments is have have a price, but maybe in the future, maybe it will be more easy to have access to these environments, and many persons don't have problem with to be near with your friends, with your family, and be near not only with the image of like a face to face, like a video, be trying to be with glasses of VR, these glasses that feel immersive in and feel that we are near, sit down or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. This situation of these pandemic moments helped me to understand that the new technology will be helping in the future many things, but but will can be making other bad things. Well, always the good things are bringing the bad things. How do you think about that, Paul?
Um, well, you see, for me, just after the lockdown began, I got myself a new part-time job, working at home, and then I also got an art commission, and I've been like busy. So it's been strange, a very strange time. Um, I don't, I don't really know what to make of it. As I say, it really makes sense later when we can look back on it. In a way, probably a virtual space would have been useful, because one of the things is that one can get a bit cabin feverish, not going out so much. And yes, something like Sunsail or Second Life or one of the many other places perhaps would have been a good experience of countryside and seaside. Um, but strangely, I didn't really think of it. Though when there's in strange times with lots of new things going on, get drawn into them maybe, and then sit back and think, yeah, I miss the countryside. I see it actually would have been great.
Please, Paul, can you help to us? The thing that I look in the internet a video that you make it about the idea of being alone in this pandemic moment that you make in Second Life about this. You're you're playing a piano and something like that. That idea is about that, about that situation, about that loneliness or something like that. Can you explain about
Yeah,
that video?
I would say aloneness rather
Hello.
than loneliness. Yeah, the art commission I had, with the Arts Council in England very kindly gave a group of digital artists, 8 of us, including myself, with the cash to do some digital art during the pandemic. And so I created an installation in Second Life and a video partly in First Life, partly in an imaginary creation using a marionette, and partly in Second Life, all relating to what it was like to just be locked in a room on your own, basically, which I'm not, but the concept is kind of the same. And so, yeah, it's not only about being alone, it's about what's going on in the world, because you know that you've got politicians saying stay at home, don't go out, wash your hands, be afraid, be very afraid. And that doesn't help in terms of feeling okay, I think. So yeah, the art was the consideration of aloneness within a threatening world, which is what we were suddenly all plunged into. Yeah, I think so.
Well, the other question about these personal questions will be starting to make changes in certain daily practices, such as working, living together, obtaining our food. What questions arise in relation to how did it and what so far we can begin to ask about this of the new normal, the new normal, eh? What virtual role will play in this new virtuality and the 3D ideas will be part of this process?
Well, that's a very good question.
About this new normality. It's strange about this world, new normality.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm ready to accept it as a new normal yet, because I think there will be a new normality, but this is not it. This is still the crisis. The new normality will start when the crisis is over, and it's no longer a threat to just walk down the street and say hello to a friend. So I don't really know what the new normality will be. I think it'll be quite similar to the old one, but there will be some changes. Behavior might be very different. You look at somewhere like Japan and other parts of Asia, there's a lot of wearing face masks all the time, even before this pandemic, because of previous things like SARS. We may end up with a new normality where people no longer wear face masks. I don't think we've reached the new normal yet.
And the
Many
virtual,
changes. Yourself?
what virtual role will play in this new virtuality, in this new normality, and if the 3D ideas will be part of this process. You think about that?
Well, again, it's not the role it will play, it's the role it could play. Because 3D IDEs, they have the ability to give the sense of having done something, been there, done that. So, if I go for a walk on the beach in Second Life, it may not seem entirely like I'm on the beach at the time, but when I look back on it later in memory, I'll have the feeling that I walked on the beach. And that's a really useful thing to have technology that can do that. Because if you want to give somebody the experience of working in someone else's shoes as a first stage, you can do that. That's really powerful for education in so many ways. And what role it can in everyday life. You know, I've had good friends in secondary and I have met a few people who think about things like that. But by and large, the two don't mix. I don't have any real friends who go into second life or friends from any other field. I don't know anybody in the laboratory space who I can meet up with. So I don't think it's going to take out my work, but I think it's a very useful tool for useful things.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know if you know. Yeah, I don't know. Here in Sansar, they make like a big event about music of DJs and something like that. That were part of this event in the real life is make it in England, but in this new occasion they have to change it. The person that organization make the organization about this event of DJs and something like that. They said, well, the government said we don't have the permission to make a big event of DJs and some of music and something like that. But they do it here in Sansar. They came from many countries and they listen and play with another like a new way of being in a event of music because here the effects are so spectacular, many lights and the music, and we can if you have the VR, they can dance and well many things that in the real life it would be so difficult to have these experiences of visual effects. Maybe in the arts we'll be looking at the changes and maybe if we look these situations about the situation in the VR of the arts, like the DJs, like the music, we'll be looking in the education. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But well, I came to the event, and I can say you, Paul, that the experience of being in a even in VR of listen music and play and make and look all the effects for me was so spectacular. It's a new different way of looking the things uh, because in the real life, yeah, it's spectacular, but a different way. I don't know. We are changing. I think that the humans are changing.
It's
Oh,
it's just it's the getting people into it. It's, as I said at the beginning, it's not immediately apparent how beneficial 3D IDEs are. So people don't flock to it because only once they've been there and experienced something like you described, Christian, do they realize how useful and effective it can be. But until then, there tends to be a natural sense of, oh, that's weird. So I think it's going to be a slow uptake, but eventually it will reach a critical mass where there will be one particular 3D IDE that everybody uses. Like Second Life used to be the one place where everybody went because it was the only one, and then it was the only one that was really good, and then it's one of many. So a bit like Windows and Mac are really the only two operating systems that most people are likely to use, or Facebook is Instagram, Twitter are kind of the only social networks that people use, the only real content. It's going to be the same with everything. There will be one or two which become the ones to use. At the moment, there's so many that the users are scattered. So when we were rehearsing this, we had it, we had open space where anybody could. Somebody did wander in and said, "Where is everybody? What's going on? I can't find it." Because all the people using 3D IDEs are spread out amongst so many. So we need to get to the point where it's mature and there's just a small number which everybody goes to in order to mass of people so it becomes big. And eventually it will probably take off in a big way. It's getting there.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, Paul, the time is out. It's over. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Paul. Thank you for being from England. It's night right now. It's now night in England. It's okay. Yes, it's
It
like
is, yes.
yeah. Here is. I have sun right now. A big sun
Oh,
here.
you've stolen our song.
Yes, Paul. Well, thank you, Paul, for your time, for this reflection
Oh, thank you for inviting
about.
me.
Oh, you're part of this club.
Okay. Do I get a
uh,
badge? I
yeah.
need a badge.
Well, thank you. We'll say to our audience that this was the podcast of Educational Technology Club that is part of the research and innovation group in digital pedagogy. The website, if you like it, is we'll put in the video later when we finish it. And well, thank you for you, Paul. Thank you for the audience that will be synchronic and asynchronic in any time, in any part of the world. Thank you for listening our ideas. This is the first episode one, and maybe in the future will be episode two and three and four. Another thing that you want to say, Paul, to make him finish this podcast?
Um, yeah. Virtual spaces, it's a bright future. Keep your eye on it.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Well, we're finishing the podcast and see you soon. Thank you. Okay. uh, Say hi and bye. Finish it.